So, hi guys, welcome to Access Noize, and I'm pleased to introduce my guest today is Phil Cunningham from New Order. How's it going, Phil?
Not too bad, not too badly. Just getting my head around the restrictions being lifted. Now they've been lifted, I'm not sure I want to see anyone. It's kind of one of those, isn't it?
Yeah,
Me and the missus
yeah,
were sort of saying yesterday, should we invite a few people around, backyard and all that? And it's like, oh, not sure really. It's an odd one.
yeah. You just get used to it, don't you?
You do, you really do, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I'd like to go back to the start. First of all, looking back, what can you remember? When was the first sort of time you got into music? What was the first sort of band or artist that maybe inspired you and went, I like this?
Oh wow. To think back a while on that one. I went through various different phases, I think, as a kid, like, most people into music do. Some really dodgy ones and some cooler ones. I think I remember the first Christmas I got some cassettes, and it was a real mix. I think it was Bon Jovi, Eurythmics, and what else? Madonna. So, so I was very young at that time, and then moving onwards, I think I had a bit of a rock phase. I was a bit of a rocker for a while, and then I got into cooler kind of indie stuff, and definitely had a punk phase. Used to love listening to the Buzzcocks and even punkier stuff, Sham 69, the Pistols, Joy Division. Being from Macclesfield, my hometown, I was always well aware of what they'd done, and that was definitely an influence on things. And then The Cure, definitely. Yeah, just a real mixed bag, really. And then I sort of went through a period of being into sort of some real like late 60s Californian stuff as well, and Neil Young, big fan of Neil Young stuff. Yeah, all sorts.
And what inspired you to pick up the guitar and start learning it?
I just remember being a kid and seeing someone on TV. It wasn't anyone I can pin down particularly famous, or well, they probably were famous, but I didn't know who it was. I just remember seeing someone playing that instrument and loving the sound of it and the look of it, and thinking to myself at a pretty early age, that's what I want to do. It took me years to be able to get the confidence to go, oh, right. And, I think my uncle came around actually with an acoustic, a beat up acoustic. It wasn't until I was about 11 or 12. And then from then on, it was, I didn't look back really. But I knew I'd always wanted to do it from a really early age, I think.
You've been in various bands, but you joined New Order to replace Gillian Gilbert, and you recorded the album "Waiting for the Sirens Call." What was it? What was it like getting the call to join such a legendary band?
Amazing. She doesn't like that been replaced thing, by the way. We had a laugh about it. I was standing in for a while. That's the official line. Yeah. I was keeping her keyboards warm for her. No, it was. It was. Oh God, I was at a weird period in my life, actually, kind of a crossroads, because my band from the 90s, which was my thing really, it sort of disintegrated with various problems. So I decided to bite the bullet because I had friends out in California, and I'd moved out there basically from Macclesfield. And it was a big decision, that really, Macclesfield to California. But I went for it, and I left everything behind. And I got in a band out there called Run, Run, Run. And we'd started doing some shows and things were happening. And it was looking okay. But then I got a call out of the blue, basically, from New Order's management, Andy Robb. And I'd already worked with Bernard briefly in electronic, done some live TV stuff in the late sort of 90s. So that's how I'd kind of met Bernard, through Johnny Marr. And rewinding a bit, Johnny Marr produced our last Marion album we did. So the connection was I met Johnny. He sort of introduced me to Bernard just while I was hanging out at his house one afternoon. And Johnny always said, when you meet Bernard, you'll like him. I can tell you're going to get on with him. And he was right. We just met and hit it off, just had a good laugh. And so Bernard kind of remembered me from that meeting, I think. And when New Order reconvened, because they'd had a few years off and they'd done Get Ready, I got the call from Andy Robb. And as I said, I was out in LA at the time. I'd gone, right, that's it, enough of England, I'm off there. And it was a call for an audition back in the UK with New Order. And I was like, great, yeah, sure, I'll come and give it a go. And I said, you know, on the phone, where's the audition then? And Andy Robb, the manager's, it's in Macclesfield. And I was like, are you joking? It's like a magnet bringing me back, you know. So I got a flight back to Mac and did the audition, got the job, and then kind of that was the end of LA, my Los Angeles dream after that, because I was rooted back in the UK and you know, back in Mac, where we still rehearse today up at Steve's place. So that was my intro to the band, really. But,
what did the audition entail? What did you have to play?
It was a weird one, actually, because I turned up and I met Steve first, and he was like, you know, very nice, and Hooky sort of bust the door in and was like, looked at me, who the fuck's this guy, kind of vibe. I think he wanted his mate Popsy to have the job, basically, so he wasn't too happy about me being there. But then you know, he warmed up and he was cool after that. But and then Bernard rolled in a little bit later, as he always does. And we didn't actually get down to playing a song that first day. It was just everyone was chatting because they'd not seen each other in a while and reconvened for rehearsal. So it wasn't like, right, you know, you're on the spot, let's see what you've got. I think it was just they were sussing out whether it was right for the job, you know, personality-wise maybe. And then I think we came in the next day, and one of the first ones I remember playing was, I think it was, it's so long ago. Crystal was definitely in there because that was off the album, and definitely Temptation. And then I think no one was like, yeah, man, sounds great, because everyone's pretty cool in the Order, you know.
Yeah.
It was just, I think the following day when I got invited back again, you know, everyone, well, Bernard just took me to one side and was like, yeah, it's working out all right, isn't it? So, and then never looked back from then on, really.
Nice one. Well, you mentioned you were a Joy Division fan, so you're obviously bound to have been a New Order fan as well. So, you know,
yeah,
it must have been amazing.
It was. I was a bit kind of like, as anyone would be, really in awe, and especially playing some of those early Joy Division songs. I mean, Atmosphere was another one, and it was a tough one for me because I'm a guitar player, and part of the audition was, can you play keyboards as well? And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that, you know, to get the job. And then I was frantically learning stuff at home in the background. But luckily for me, it's not too hard. You know, it sounds great, but it's not too hard to learn. And but yeah, it was just, you know, amazing playing stuff like Atmosphere for the first time with a band, and yeah, real experience. Quite daunting though.
Yeah, absolutely, I'm sure. Especially once you got the job and then you went into co-writing Waiting for the Sirens Call album. What was that like? You know, was that daunting? That must have been.
Again, that was kind of I was at ease with the band by that time because we'd done quite a bit of touring and stuff. But when it came to that point and, you know, bringing a few ideas in, I was super nervous because I was like, it was another milestone, really, sort of getting over that point. And I think I brought that idea of, hey, now what you doing to the table, and everyone really liked it. So from then on, I was sort of at ease, really. And we just went on a mad writing spree for that. And then that's why we had the leftover songs for that other record. And and it kind of gelled at the time.
Well, the band, they're about to release Education, Entertainment and Recreation live at Alexandra Palace, your only UK show of 2018. I watched it, and I've been listening to it as well. It's absolutely amazing show. Just sonically and visually spectacular. What can you remember about the show?
I remember, well, nice one for getting through it, because it's a very long concert, isn't it?
I must admit, I did watch it in parts.
Yeah, well, a second sitting is needed, definitely. Well, imagine playing it live on stage then. We were joking now that the set's expanded so much, we need like an interval for costume changes or something, you know? but it's so difficult, you know, fit with, for one thing, you need to fit in the classics everyone wants to hear, and we love playing, you know, like Temptation and you know, Blue Monday or what have you. But those songs alone are expanded versions, 10 minutes a piece, and then, you know, we want to play some newer tracks and some Joy Division, so it just gets bigger and bigger. And it's what I remember about that night was, well, luckily for us and for Mike Christie, who made the, you know, who put it together, it was a really good concert. Because, I mean, we're pretty good, consistently good nowadays, because we do, believe it or not, rehearse quite a bit and put the time in to make it good. But there are the odd night where it can go a bit, for whatever reason, flat. So I think I was really pleased that it was a good, you know, one of our, in particular, good night, I think. And but with these things, normally you do a couple of nights, and then you've got a backup, really, if you're making because we hadn't done one for about a decade, I don't think, a live concert, proper, you know, properly filmed. So you usually do 2 nights, and then you can piece it together, should we say, if things go wrong. But we had all our eggs in one basket, because it was just one night, and it was a stormer. And I think Mike did a really good job of capturing it, you know, because nowadays it's quite, you know, with all the multi-visual stuff, it's quite, you know, there's a lot going on basically. But he had a lot of camera guys planted in the audience everywhere, and he made it look seamless, really. So I was really pleased with the results, you know.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. As you say, visually, it's fantastic. What goes through your head when you're about to step on stage for a show like that, when you know, there's a lot, you know, on it, you know, the cameras everywhere and stuff?
Well, that, like I say, he did it seamlessly, really, because he planted the camera guys everywhere, but they weren't sort of obtrusive and like getting in the way. Whereas we've done stuff in the past, and I know Bernard's got a real bee in his bonnet about it, because if you got a dirty big camera guy, you know, in your face, it can unnerve you and kind of put you off. But Mike did it in such a way that it wasn't cutting into what we were doing, so we just sort of did what we did. And that's why it was great for me to watch it back, because I was like, wow, all that was going on while we were playing. We just kind of channeled into what we do, and it was all dandy, really.
Well, as you said, the show's a mix of Joy Division stuff, Old New Order stuff, and the new stuff. What's your favorite tracks to play live?
Oh, God, you know what? It does change a bit from gig to gig, but a classic, the one I really love is Temptation at the end of the set, because by that time we're all, the audience are really absorbed by it, and it just feels like almost a religious experience at certain gigs. It's just, I can't explain it, and you feed off the audience, and that's always a great one to play. And you know, like playing some of the newer stuff as well, like Academic and whatnot. And of course, it's always good to do the Joy Division stuff. Like doing the Joy Division stuff, because you're not pinned down by a lot. We use a lot of, just the nature of New Order's music is a lot of programmed stuff and technology. So you're pinned down to a lot of backing tracks, whereas because that's just the way it's written. Whereas the older Joy Division stuff, you feel quite free, when you're playing some of that stuff. Transmission's always a favorite as well.
What would be the hardest song to play live out of all those tracks?
The hardest, probably the ones that we never play live, because we honestly, people say, why do you never play things off technique and whatnot? And we've tried a lot in rehearsals to play a lot of those songs, and they just, for whatever reason, do not gel. And so we don't feel like we're comfortable enough to play them live, and don't. I know a lot of people have got wound up about why do they never play from that album, but we have tried to put it together, but it just doesn't feel right for some reason.
It's not happening. The last New Order studio album was 2015's Music Complete. Are there any plans? Have you been writing new material? Is there plans for a proper studio album soon?
Not for an album, but we are working on something at the moment. I can't really say too much about it, but we are doing something at the moment. For me personally, I'd love to do one, but it's making it, all the planets align and it to work out. Mm-hmm. And plus, we've got so many gigs backed up now, that we should have done, that we're hopefully, fingers crossed, about to do. I think we're going to be quite busy with those going ahead.
Yeah, there's Heaton Park in Manchester and the London O2 in November. If they go ahead, they will be amazing. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to getting back out in front of a live audience.
Absolutely. And we've also got a whole US tour. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. We're co-headline tour with the Pet Shop Boys in September, end of September. But our last show was just over a year ago, Melbourne. We were out in Melbourne in Australia, and that's when everything started getting mad, and we had to get an earlier plane back, cancel the last show. It was all blowing up with the pandemic. It was pretty scary, actually. But so we hadn't played really in over a year. So we did get together under really strict COVID secure conditions to do a few rehearsals. A few weeks back, we had perspex screens up, everyone was tested and masks on. It was a really weird experience, but we just did it to see if we could still remember everything. And so we booked in a week, and after a few days, it's amazing, it did all come back. So we're ready to go as soon as we can.
Look forward to it. As you said, in your musical career, you've been in various bands: Marion, Bad Lieutenant, Shadow Party, which I love that album. More recently, your new project, Sea Fever, with your New Order bandmate Tom Chapman. How did that come about?
That's right. It just, me and Tom like being in the studio and writing, really. So we're always just doing it in our spare time, and always got a backlog of ideas. So we just got some like-minded friends together from Manchester, really, and then it started forming into an album. So then we saw, it's just, we want to put out music. It's what we do with musicians. And no, I'm excited about it, though. It's kept us busy over this period of lockdown as well, because we've been working on it kind of over the last couple of years, I'd say. So we had an album finished, and we took the opportunity during lockdown. You could do it remotely, so we got all the mixes together, and now it's ready to go. We're looking at August, I think, for a release on that. So we're, finally it's going to come out. And gigs would be good as well, but who knows? We're trying to pencil things in, and it's got to fit around the New Order stuff as well, of course.
Yeah. I love the first single, Cross Wires, and the video that was filmed in Berlin. Really, really enjoyed it. I take it you weren't in Berlin when the video was being made?
We weren't, no.
Right? No.
We got some great filmmakers to do that. I was really impressed with that myself as well, yeah. It's great, and, being in videos, maybe it's because I've been in New Order for years and they've never done it. It's a real drag making videos, and they all turn out the same, and they're not great. But I think that one turned out pretty damn good actually, and it's not got the band. They don't need the band in. Everyone's, you know, it's about the music really.
Mm-hmm. No, I love the song. It's really, really good. And then there's the new single "Folding Lines," which is coming. I think it's in the next few days. Is that correct?
It is, yeah, yeah. So we've got that's the next one, "Folding Lines," and we've got some other really cool ones coming up. We're going to drop a few more until the album is released in later in the year. So all good.
No, I'm looking forward to the album. What sort of vibe? What's the sort of sound have you went for on it?
Well, just because we've had the luxury of time and been able to experiment and stuff, it's a real mixed bag, you know, definitely a mixed bag. I mean, there's some definitely in the way that New Order work, we definitely like to sort of mash together, you know, programmed stuff and technology with live guitars, rocking guitars, and, you know, instrumentation. So it's got that is the vibe of the sound, but yeah, just a bit of everything. We've got like at one point, this was pre-lockdown, Tom got like a choir, a choir in on one. We've got like part of an orchestra. It's quite a big sounding record, you know. So I'm really excited for people to hear it.
No, that's my favorite sort of music, sort of big epic soundscapey albums, you know. So
yeah. I mean, we like I was saying, we like being in the studio, we like playing, so we do tend to layer it up quite a lot with a few layers and ideas, and yeah.
No, I can't wait to hear it. Manchester's always produced amazing bands. Is there any bands in the scene at the moment that you're excited about?
There's a few. It seems like recently things are going back to that kind of a couple of bands that you put me on the spot now because I'm terrible at remembering names, but seems to be going back to the early 90s sort of grunge scene again, which I've heard a couple of bands from that vein that I quite like. But of course, you know, the band everyone's talking about, you know, Working Men's Club, they're really good. They're going to be playing with us at Heaton Park as well, which, you know, all been well.
Wow. When you order in Sea Fever, you know, you must be very busy. What do you do in your downtime?
Well, the answer to that is I've got a 7-month-old baby.
Oh, nice one.
Me and my wife have just had a baby, so that's been keeping us occupied over the lockdown period. Amongst, you know, the other band stuff, so quite busy with that at the minute. It's all good though.
yeah. Newborn babies are class. Many sleepless nights. I'd like to ask you, I guess, the following questions. Out of all the music in your collection, which artist or band do you have the most albums by?
It's either, well, actually, I'd say it's different bands, but The Cure and The Who. I've got probably the most albums by those two.
Good choices. And which artist or band is your guilty pleasure?
You like this one? Big Country.
Great band.
Great, that first album, The Crossing, a classic, man. Pretty underrated. When people always go, oh, you know, it sounded like bagpipes and all that, but if you cut away from that, the actual songwriting and that first album in particular, The Crossing, is great.
I love the bagpipe sort of guitar sound.
I do, but you know, some people aren't convinced. I don't know why. I've no idea why.
No, they're a great band. And what have you been listening to recently that you could recommend? Any new stuff?
You know what? Not really. I've been listening to a lot of old stuff, and on that tip of this is really uncool as well. And it goes along with the Celtic thing. I've been learning how to play the dulcimer, mountain dulcimer in my downtime, in between having the baby and doing it. I haven't got it to hand, unfortunately. It's downstairs, but it's a really cool instrument. I recommend it to anyone.
I've never heard of it. Like what sort of what does it look like? Wow.
Here we go. This is what happens in lockdown. you start getting into these kind of instruments.
And did you say it's an Irish instrument? Class.
It's in a certain tuning, and anything you try playing on it sounds kind of Celtic, weirdly. So.
Sounds
cool,
amazing.
though.
Sounds amazing. Will it be featuring on any New Order songs?
Funnily, you should say that. Yes, it does.
Does it? Wow.
It does, yeah. It's Steve Morris put me onto it. Weirdly, Steve bought one because he likes buying stuff, Steve. So when you're up at the rehearsal room, boxes will turn up pretty much every day, and you're like, "What's in this one?" And he randomly bought one, and yeah, I think there's one chord on one song somewhere. I won't tell you which one. People have to work it out.
No problem. No problem.
So he owns one.
Well, Phil, that is all my questions finished. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. Really looking forward to hearing the Sea Fever album and future music from New Order. Nice
one, Mark. Good talking to you, mate.
Yeah, maybe we'll get you on to talk about the Sea Fever album when it comes out.
Absolutely, love to. Yeah. Give me a shout.
Yeah, absolutely. Dead on. Cool. Well, listen, mate, have a good day, and again, appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I wish you all the best with the new album, and hopefully getting back out on doing the live shows soon.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's 20 years I've been in New Order, believe it or not, this year. So I'm hoping that we can get some shows in before this year to celebrate that, really.
Yeah. Hopefully it's come to Ireland at some stage.
I'd love to.
New Order haven't been to Belfast, and I think well over 20 years. So you'd have to come.
Oh man, we did have a gig penciled in there a few years back, and it got cancelled, pulled for some reason. I don't remember what. Yeah, but hopefully at some stage we'll be back there.
Yeah, fingers crossed.